Could it be mission accomplished in the fight against inflation? Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has signaled that interest rate cuts are coming in the United States while meeting with Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem. The announcement comes as presidential nominee Kamala Harris faces scrutiny over her proposal to tackle price gouging. Manisa Danabalan joins us live with more on this. Manisa, Harris's plan sounds very similar to the one federal New Democrats were proposing just a few months ago here in Canada.
Yes, Nicole, and it's to target high costs by limiting the price on grocery staples. We'll get to that in a moment, but first let's talk about the big news with the interest rate cut across the border. The key lending rate has been at a 2-decade high since last July, but the Fed chair says it's time to adjust the policy. Today, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said the time has come for the U.S. Central Bank to cut interest rates.
Overall, the economy continues to grow at a solid pace, but the inflation and labor market data show an evolving situation. The upside risks to inflation have diminished, and the downside risks to employment have increased. As we highlighted in our last FOMC statement, we are attentive to the risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
Powell emphasized that inflation, after the worst price spike in 4 decades, inflicted pain on millions of households, appears largely under control.
I think it was pretty clear from the speech that we know that there is a rate cut coming in September. And I also think we know pretty clearly that it's highly likely there'll be 3 more cuts to come. Now, the data could change, obviously, between now and then. But in terms of size, I would say that it's likely it's a 25 basis point cut. There was nothing in the speech to indicate the need for panic.
After the speech, Powell was seen walking to a scenic overlook with Bank of England's governor and Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem. Just like here in Canada, grocery prices have been a problem for many Americans. It's definitely a sticking point with the presidential election quickly approaching. Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris is blaming corporations for price gouging and vows to go after them if she's elected. And how, you may ask? By passing a federal ban on price gouging on food.
My plan will include new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules, and we will support smaller food businesses that are trying to play by the rules and get ahead.
Several U.S. states already restrict price gouging, but a federal ban would be new, and many seem to think it won't work and could make things worse.
We've seen it happen in Venezuela. We've seen it happen in the Soviet Union. Price controls just don't work. What's worse about that, first, it's trying to address a problem that does not exist.
Nothing works when you try to artificially control prices. It's just a supply and demand issue. It's a flawed idea.
So did you have a question here?
Yes. Why would you propose a flawed idea?
Things got pretty heated during this interview when the host laid into Senator Elizabeth Warren about Harris's proposal.
No, we're trying to actually do.
Where are you in the 37 states that currently have price gouging laws?
Just quickly on that point, Senator Warren, can you, this is Kelly here, can I just clarify how this would work?
This is the way you never lose an argument, because no one can ever say anything back to you, Senator.
Some saying Harris is trying to deflect blame for inflation being high during her administration with President Biden. Price gouging from corporations is a hot topic here at home. Earlier this year, the federal New Democrats called on the government to cap the price on essential grocery items if they couldn't convince grocers to bring the prices down themselves. Nicole, the U.S. Central Bank's next rate-setting meeting is due to take place in September, and forecasters here are widely expecting the Bank of Canada to continue cutting interest rates as well. The next announcement in Canada is September 4th.